Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Hunter. I'm the founder and CEO of HigherMe. And we help retail and hourly employers find, screen, and hire better employees faster. This is an area that I am very, very familiar with. I actually used to own 7 marble slab ice cream stores, and recruitment was a constant challenge for me. I had some locations where it would be a struggle to get any applicants. I had other locations where I had lots of applicants, but constant turnover and poor employee performance. I was not the only one with these problems. Over $5 billion is spent on the recruitment of over 77 million hourly workers in this country. It is a huge part of the American workforce. But the fact is that they have a problem as well. And the problem is that to be an applicant for these kinds of jobs, it sucks. You're often applying for 100 different jobs, spraying and praying your resume out to lots of places, putting up with clunky 45-minute online applications, and then often never hearing back when you've applied. Your resume hits a black hole and is never seen. Part of the reason for that is that this is a challenging problem for employers as well. The fact is your resume doesn't actually give a lot of information to the employer about whether you're going to be a good fit for some of these entry-level roles or not. And we see that a lot of smaller employers end up doing a lot of the recruitment tasks manually, wasting a lot of time and effort along the way. Big or small, they're dealing with constantly high turnover, significant problems, significant expense. The interesting thing is that in this industry, the hiring is typically done not by a formal HR department or a recruiter, but often at the store level or the restaurant level, even by large companies. So they don't necessarily have a lot of HR training. And even for a lot of larger companies, what we've seen is that when they use technology, often it's legacy software that's old, clunky, not necessarily mobile-friendly or built for the unique needs of the hourly workforce. Starbucks is a wonderful, iconic brand, amazing corporate culture. But after this presentation, I would challenge everyone to go online on their smartphone and try to apply to be a barista at Starbucks, and you'll find it's almost impossible to get through. As a result, Starbucks is missing out on a lot of great applicants that are accustomed to being able to do that. HigherMe solves these problems, and we offer a suite of software that makes recruitment more efficient. I'll talk more about this in a second, but specifically applicant tracking, video cover letter option for the applicants, customizable screening assessments to predict who will be a good fit, branded company careers pages that they can use right from their website, functionality that lets an applicant start an application entirely by text message, as well as automated interview scheduling and paperless onboarding once they're hired. But we are not just software. All this software gets layered on top of a specific candidate network, kind of like a LinkedIn for the restaurant, retail, hourly world. And this combination of value ends up giving a lot of value to our customers, helping them reduce the recruitment costs, attract better applicants, and increase the retention of those better applicants as well. And it's been working. We launched last year and just passed over $50,000 in monthly recurring revenue, consistent 24% month-over-month revenue growth for over a year now. And we work with great companies like Dunkin, Panera Bread, California Pizza Kitchen. One major enterprise win I am happy to talk about, we've just signed up White Castle at a corporate level for all 400 of their locations, and they'll be coming on board the platform in 2017. We're not just limited to retail or hospitality, though. This really does apply to all of hourly recruitment. And if you ever had your picture taken in elementary school, it was likely LifeTouch School Photography that did it. LifeTouch has tens of thousands of school photographers, and I'm excited to say that they'll be coming on board as well in 2017. Between these two enterprise wins, we'll have hit $1 million in annual recurring revenue. But more importantly, 10,000 people have gotten a job from our website since we launched last year. I want to talk in more detail about our products. So first of all, mobile-friendly online application. Really want to double down on this point here. These are not necessarily professional white-collar jobs where you're taking hours and hours and hours to refine your cover letter. It's often a volume game, and we find that a lot of competitors have completion rates of 10, 20, 30%. So a lot of applicants that start these applications don't bother finishing them. But because our system is mobile-friendly, because it's relatively straightforward to get to, our completion rates sit at 70%. So we get more applicants to actually finish the application. Now, the reason for that is our text-to-apply functionality, letting an applicant that's walking by or walking into a restaurant or retail store basically start their application entirely by text message. And we also nurture the applicant through the process so that if they see that a company is hiring but aren't in a position to actually finish an application, well, we'll send them a text message, we'll send them an email and say, Starbucks is still hiring, they'd love to hear from you, click here to continue your application. And once an applicant has done their first application, they have the option of creating a profile on the site, kind of like LinkedIn, where then in the future, employers can reach out directly to them without them having to go and apply for 100 jobs. In terms of the employer, we handle, of course, employee recruitment from our pool. We all can also go and get applicants from other sites as well. We provide really customizable assessments. And we have a proprietary algorithm that scores our candidates based on how well they fit with what employers are looking for. We also let applicants do a short video when they apply. Such a cool feature. We had one girl actually write us a song about why she'd be a great fit at my old ice cream store. Really a great way to sense their personality and also get a sense for how committed to the job are they. Are they willing to go to a little bit of trouble to get it? Want to make a point of our interview scheduling. This is a huge pain point. You'd be surprised, only about half of applicants for these kinds of jobs that get invited to interview bother to show up for the interview. So a ton of time is wasted scheduling the interview to begin with, email tag, phone tag back and forth, and then a lot of them don't show up. We automate all of that with text message automation-based interview scheduling for our employers. We also provide, of course, an applicant tracking system, branded company careers pages, not to mention onboarding documentation and tax credit screening for when the employer is hired. Our revenue lends itself well to nice, predictable, recurring revenue. This is not a services recruitment business. Because turnover is so high, you're hiring just about every month of the year. And by charging separately for our software and separately for our recruitment, we really can make as much off of our employers as possible. Now, with 600 seconds, I don't have a ton of time to get into details on our sales and marketing efforts. But bottom line, we have figured a lot out. Specifically, drip email campaigns have been effective for us, outbound cold calling, referrals and network expansion in specific franchise networks like Dunkin' Donuts and Panera. Also reaching out to employers using our applicants as sales collateral, not to mention specific display advertising. All of these have been very effective for us, and when I am given sales and marketing dollars, I'm able to turn those sales and marketing investments into long-term value and long-term new clients for our company. In terms of the competition, really seems like there is a competitive gap. You know, there's lots of job boards out there that help you find applicants, and lots of software out there that helps you screen those applicants, but not necessarily anybody that does it specifically for the retail, restaurant, hourly world that has really mixed those two things together and been full cycle from finding them to screening them to hiring to onboarding them and interviewing them. That really presents an interesting opportunity for us. And in terms of some ways that we're different, I don't really consider us a job board. We really are more of a network of candidates. And we're full cycle. We handle the whole recruitment cycle for our employers. We've also got a robust product line already and lots of cool things on the way to offer more value to our clients. We're also focused specifically on a mobile-dominated strategy so that we can get today's millennial applicants to actually engage with us and treating them as well as possible by not trying to make money on our applicants or spam them or advertise to them or anything like that. In terms of our team, my name is Rob Hunter. I grew up down the road in London, Ontario, did my undergraduate degree at the University of Western Ontario there, worked as a data scientist at a company called Moby in Boston that's raised about $7 million. Met my partner, Evan Lodge, while we were doing our MBAs at Babson College. Evan's got a background in product management, worked at Motor Trend Magazine's suite of websites. Also met my third co-founder, Jeff Cheteville. Jeff actually was a co-founder at Moby as well, and Jeff is a talented software engineer with a master's degree from UC Berkeley. We also have a team of 10 great people back in Boston helping us out as well. 1 year from now, HigherMe will have tripled our revenue. We'll be at a $3 million run rate. We'll have continued to exploit our sales and marketing channels, built more products and more features for our clients, expanded to other verticals, and built our team here in Buffalo with lots of new hires to come. Some of our current investors, they're an important part of our team as well. We've raised about $1.5 million, most of it actually in the last several weeks. And we're proud graduates of the Y Combinator program in Silicon Valley. The founders of Hootsuite and NatureBox are also personal investors, not to mention Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank as well, so she's a valued part of our team. Some thoughts on why Buffalo. As I said, half of the American workforce is really ignored by a lot of the current HR technology that's out there. But we have a solution that's working, proven by 24% month-over-month revenue growth and high customer retention. We can't wait to build our team in Buffalo. We'll be hiring for lots of permanent professional positions here. I grew up down the road in Southern Ontario. My wife is from Rochester, so we are really excited to bring this business home. Having lived in Boston, having lived in Silicon Valley, I can tell you wonderful startup ecosystems in those cities, wonderful networks that we've built there. But there is a bit of a blind spot to the plight of the average American worker. And coming back here, it's really made me realize that, you know, Buffalo is America, and there's not a better place for us to build the company than here. Bottom line, our product is built, we've achieved product market fit, and we cannot wait to start scaling this company here in Buffalo. Thank you very much for your time.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions?
So my feeling is your real differentiator your target market? Because many aspects of the technology you mentioned, it's a very competitive space, and a lot of people are implementing that, including focus on mobile and text to apply. So do you think your know-how, based on your past and you being an employer, you believe that your focus area is your differentiator, or you think you have something amazing in the product as well?
I think, honestly, it's a combination of both. I think there's not necessarily a lot of franchise owners that start tech companies. So having lived in this world, having been a team member at McDonald's when I was 15, I've lived and breathed this world for the last 20 years of my life. So I think that certainly gives us a competitive advantage from the beginning. In terms of long-term sustainability, long-term barriers to entry, I would say one thing that's interesting on our side comes from the data that we collect. And the fact that we really are full cycle allows us lots of insight into various different things that these employees are doing. So as one example, we're building out a scheduling app for our applicants and for our employers so they can swap shifts when someone's hired. That becomes really interesting data that can be used if they go somewhere else. Was someone late for work? Were they often showing up? Were they scheduling shifts with other folks? So I would say really the long-term barrier to entry that we're trying to create here, first of all, is the base of candidates. Lots of enterprise software companies out there that can streamline operations, but you still have to go get the people. So building up the people, learning more about them, I really do think provides a long-term advantage for us.
Sore?
That's actually exactly leading up to my question, which is every marketplace has a cold start. And notoriously, internet, Silicon Valley-based marketplaces
I should hire her to be a partner.
I heard that. But typically what happens with the cold start is that geographically it's challenging to go from one market to the next. So how do you expect to expand from one region to the next cost efficiently?
I'm so glad you asked. I've got a slide right there for it.
You do?
We're actually in over 43 states right now, just added a few more in the last week. It's really interesting. Because we provide so much value from our software purely, we are able to do this across the country, and we already are. The thing is that we are able to tap into channels that these employers are already sort of using, but not using that well to attract applicants. So we put up a poster in the store with the text to apply functionality. We spit out our jobs. We aggregate them out to a number of different job boards that are out there, sort of like a ZipRecruiter model as well. So we really are able to do this and have done this across the country.
Okay.
I mean, give us some indicators of the KPIs in your business, right? How are you measuring success right now?
Absolutely. So, one thing our employers see a lot of the time is reduced time spent on this activity. Remember, these are not HR departments. This is the restaurant manager that is flipping burgers, managing a staff, managing a P&L, and trying to hire people. So typically they save about 5 to 10 hours a month on the recruitment process. We also see a reduction in turnover of approximately 25 to 30% when our solution is implemented and taken care of. And on top of that, they get more applicants. And by widening the pool of applicants that you get, in theory, you get exposure to better applicants. And I can tell you, there's nothing worse than getting a phone call at 11 o'clock at night from someone that hasn't bothered to show up or someone that went home early or closed the store early. There's so many non-quantifiable qualitative things to running these locations that I really think better employees can help solve.
It's a sort of it has aspect of a network effects business, so you need the employers and the employees. Are you currently driving it from creating the employees database bigger and then getting employees? And even if you get employers, are you relying on the employers to do the consumer awareness of your platform? What are you doing about that?
It's a great question, and I would say it absolutely starts with the employer, getting them on board. But there is a great, for lack of a better word, recycling engine that starts running here, where if someone applies to work at a specific location, they are reviewed, they are specific to that location initially, but then they have been exposed to our website so that if they don't get hired there, well, we have new applicants that we can then use to go out and attract new employers. So that becomes a big, big part of it. And again, the software does really play a part aside from just the applicant side. We have plenty of customers where the main reason they interacted with us was to begin with was to give applicant tracking, screening, cover letter, all this sort of thing to them. So the software does play a big role here as well.
Matt?
Are you working with any large scale, like Starbucks size employers to define the product and determine what it could be like and actually to build the network effect on the employer side?
We're getting there. I think at the beginning, really our focus was on that sweet spot of small to medium franchise operators to really make sure we refine it first before going after the big fish. But frankly, White Castle, we were very fortunate, got a relationship going with them in the summer, 400 locations, not Starbucks sized, but certainly on its way. And I think that was really giving us insight into some of the unique needs of a larger operator as well. I think building and figuring out what your Starbucks applicants, what success looks like once they are hired, and helping identify those qualities at the time of application becomes a very powerful effect here that we hope to do with larger companies in the future.
Sorry.
And then there are big venture-backed players like Hourly Nerd, which is changing their name to Hourly, so to go up and down market. What do you think is your best effort to keep your market satiated with this kind of lower hourly income wage worker?
Absolutely. Well, and as far as I know, Hourly Nerd, even despite the name change, a little bit more focused on professional MBA on demand, right? So I really do think a long-term goes back to competitive advantage here. Is you're playing a bit of a long game with the applicants. If we tried to monetize our applicants, as many of our competitors have done, showing them advertising, having them get lead generation phone calls the next day from military recruiters, that's a crazy example we've heard, you lose applicants and you lose good applicants. So I think long-term, keeping them engaged, giving them other things to do beyond just applying for jobs also remains a focus for us as well in the future.
Great.
So two questions. Have you lost any customers in the learning cycle?
You know what's interesting? We find that sometimes our smaller customers will say, you did a great job for us. We're fully staffed. And then they come back a few months later. So that is really the most frequent time we see customer churn is for our smaller operators that get fully staffed, only might have 5 or 10 people working in their small restaurant or small shop, and then ultimately re-engage with us later. So I think part of what we want to do is build them additional functionality. There's a lot more products and services we can offer for the ongoing management and communication of their employees that will help keep those smaller customers on board long-term as well.
And then who describe your hires for Buffalo? Who
Absolutely. So, most of the selling at this point, to be fair, a lot of our investment dollars have literally been in the last 6 weeks. So a lot of the selling of this so far has been myself and my co-founders. That being said, we've identified specific activities, specific channels that we are now replicating, and we have some really great young sales folks that have joined us in Boston right now. We want to build out that sales team here immediately. That is the most immediate hire for us, is an inside sales team. We can close the majority of our deals. White Castle, in fact, I've not met them in person yet, all closed from an inside sales perspective. So that's the most immediate need for us, but lots of great engineering talent as well. I think we're fooled if we don't focus on long-term product improvements and long-term product additions as well. So also building out the engineering team here locally will be the next phase after sales and marketing.
This is a pain point near and dear to my heart, as my wife owned a gourmet popcorn shop. And by default, I did a lot of the interviewing and whatnot. It was painful, so I think there's a big market for it. But my question is more related to your experience at Y Combinator.
Sure.
Has your model changed since then? And then also, how did you do from a raise standpoint after the incubator?
Absolutely. So we had a wonderful time at YC. It was a life-changing experience. We were very early. We did not ship any code until we arrived in Silicon Valley. So we got to the end of demo day, had a wonderful pitch, met some wonderful investors, but raised hundreds of thousands rather than millions. So headed back to Boston, put our heads down. I, again, did a good chunk of the selling over the last year. And I think we're really now in a really exciting point, an inflection point for the company, where we've seen what's worked, we've seen what customers have responded to, and frankly, even in the last few weeks, it's really paid off on the raising investment side as well.
What are you doing to address the whole issue of availability and hours and scheduling from a product point of view? It's probably the biggest pain point in the area, and when I went on and looked at your product, I didn't see a big emphasis there.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good feedback for our marketing team. I would love to show you the product. I wish I had my laptop on me right now. One challenge with a lot of our competitors, maybe not so focused on the retail hospitality space, is you'll see them saying, okay, when job applicant, are you available in the afternoon? Well, what is the afternoon? Is the afternoon 2 o'clock? Is it 4 o'clock? Jeff actually built us a wonderful, almost like Google Calendar, filling out, dropping and dragging as to the specific hours that they're available to work. And again, the proprietary algorithm will find out which specific hours are a nice to have at each location, because it varies by location, as you know, or are a more critical need to have. And the weighting of the scoring is based on their availability as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Fantastic.